"That horse will kill you," they warned the paralyzed girl. But what she did next left everyone in tears. The morning sun stretched long shadows across Willow Creek Ranch, casting the weathered barn in warm hues of amber and gold. 17-year-old Ella Wheeler tightened her grip on the wheels of her wheelchair, her knuckles turning white as she maneuvered across the uneven ground. The familiar scent of hay and horses filled her nostrils, wrapping her in a bittersweet comfort tinged with longing. "Ella," called Sarah Martinez, the ranch owner, from the fence line. "You shouldn't be here alone." "I know about the new stallion," Ella replied, cutting her off with a small smile. "I know Thunder is dangerous. Everyone keeps saying that." Sarah's lined face softened. "He's different from the other rescue horses, Ella. 3 handlers have already quit, and he's only been here 2 weeks." Ella wheeled herself closer to the paddock where Thunder was kept, isolated from the others. The black stallion stood at the farthest corner, his powerful body taut with tension, ears pinned back in mourning. Even from this distance, Ella could see the scars marring his otherwise sleek coat, a testament to the abuse he had endured before being rescued. "He's scared," she murmured, more to herself than to Sarah. "Just like I was." The words lingered in the air, heavy with unspoken pain. 14 months had passed since the car accident that had taken her parents' lives and left her paralyzed from the waist down. 14 months of struggling to navigate a world that suddenly felt filled with impossible obstacles. Sarah placed a gentle hand on Ella's shoulder. "Honey, I know that look. Whatever you're thinking, I want to work with him," Ella stated firmly, her green eyes locked onto the stallion. "I've been around horses my whole life, Sarah. Before the accident, you were our best junior rider," Sarah acknowledged. "But this isn't about riding skills. Thunder is unpredictable. He's attacked everyone who's tried to get close." Ella turned her wheelchair to face Sarah directly. "Maybe that's because everyone approaches him expecting a fight." She gestured toward the stallion. "Look at him, Sarah. Really look. His body language, the way he keeps checking for an escape route. He's not aggressive, he's terrified." Sarah folded her arms, studying both Ella and Thunder with equal scrutiny. She had known Ella since she was a toddler, back when her parents had first boarded their horses at Willow Creek. And after the accident, Sarah had become more than just the ranch owner. She was Ella's guardian, the one constant in a world that had shattered overnight. "What exactly are you proposing?" Sarah asked at last. "Let me spend time near his paddock, not inside," Ella added quickly, catching the concern on Sarah's face. "Just reading, doing my homework. Let him get used to my presence without any pressure." Thunder suddenly moved, his hooves thundering against the ground as he galloped the perimeter of his enclosure. Other handlers might have seen aggression in the display, but Ella noticed how his movements stayed far from where they stood, not charging, but retreating. Sarah was quiet for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Finally, she sighed. "2 conditions. You don't go near that paddock without someone else on the property, and you stay outside the fence. No exceptions." Ella's face lit up. "Dio. I mean it, Ella. Promise me. I promise." Ella's gaze returned to Thunder, who had settled into pacing. "We're more alike than you think, boy," she whispered. "We both know what it's like to have our wings clipped." As if hearing her words, Thunder paused, his head turning slightly in their direction. For a brief moment, his dark eyes met Ella's, and something passed between them. A flash of recognition, perhaps, or the first tentative thread of understanding. That night, lying in bed, Ella pulled out her journal, a habit she'd started in the hospital. On a fresh page, she wrote, "Day 0. Everyone sees his scars, but I see his spirit. They call him dangerous, but I recognize the look in his eyes. It's not anger that drives him, it's fear. Fear of being hurt again, of trusting and being betrayed. I know that fear. I've lived it. But maybe, just maybe, 2 broken souls can help each other learn to fly again." She closed the journal, her mind already planning tomorrow's visit. For the first time in months, she felt a spark of something she'd almost forgotten: hope. The next morning arrived with a crisp autumn breeze that rustled through the changing leaves. Ella arrived at the ranch early, her backpack loaded with books, homework, and her journal. Sarah helped her set up a comfortable spot about 15 feet from Thunder's paddock, complete with a small folding table for her materials. "Remember our deal," Sarah reminded her before heading off to attend to the day's chores. Ella pulled out the black stallion, fitting, she thought with a smile, and began to read aloud. Her voice was soft but clear, carrying just enough to reach the paddock where Thunder stood rigid, watching her every move. "I know what they say about you," she said between chapters, keeping her tone conversational. 700 pounds of pure attitude, they call you. But I think you're just waiting for someone to see past all that. The first week passed slowly. Thunder would pace nervously whenever she arrived, his hooves beating a steady rhythm against the packed earth. But by the second week, something subtle began to change. His pacing became less frantic, and occasionally he would pause to listen when she read particularly dramatic passages. "You like the exciting parts, don't you?" Ella observed one afternoon, noticing how his ears pricked forward during an action scene. "I bet you have some exciting stories of your own." As September melted into October, Ella developed a routine. She'd arrive after school, weather permitting, and spend 2 hours at her spot near the paddock. Some days she'd read, others she'd talk about her day or share memories of her parents. Thunder's responses became more noticeable. A flick of his ear, a subtle turn of his head, small signs that he was listening. One particularly memorable day, about a month into her vigil, Thunder did something unexpected. As Ella read from National Velvet, he gradually moved closer to her side of the paddock. Though still maintaining a safe distance, he chose to graze within 30 feet of where she sat, the closest he'd voluntarily come to any human since arriving at the ranch. That evening's journal entry captured her excitement. Day 31. He's listening, really listening. Today when I described Mom's old apple pie recipe, I don't know why I was talking about that. His ears were fully forward. When I stopped talking, he actually looked at me as if saying, "Why did you stop?" I know most people would think I'm imagining things, but there's intelligence in those eyes. Understanding. He's not just hearing words, he's feeling the connection. As autumn deepened into winter, Sarah helped Ella set up a small shelter near her reading spot, protecting her from the elements, while maintaining her daily vigil. Thunder seemed to appreciate the consistency, often nickering softly when she arrived, a sound that never failed to make her heart soar. "You know what's funny?" Ella said one snowy afternoon, bundled up against the cold. "Everyone thinks I'm out here trying to help you, but the truth is, you're helping me too. Before I started this, I was just existing, going through the motions. But now, I have purpose again." The breakthrough came 3 months into their routine. Ella was reading Black Beauty, her voice thick with emotion during a particularly moving passage, when she heard soft hoofbeats approaching. Looking up, she found Thunder standing directly at the fence, closer than he'd ever been before. Fighting to keep her voice steady, she continued reading, pretending this momentous development was perfectly normal. Thunder remained there for several minutes, his breath visible in the cold air, before slowly retreating to a more comfortable distance. That night's journal entry was tear-stained. Day 93 today, he chose to come to me. No pressure, no expectations, just trust. Sarah saw it happen and actually cried, though she'll probably deny it later. The others still don't understand. They see a dangerous horse who needs to be controlled. But that's not what this is about. It's about two souls recognizing something in each other. The pain, yes, but also the potential. The longing to break free from the limitations others place on us. I've been dreaming about riding again. Not just any riding. I want to ride Thunder. Sarah will probably think I'm crazy, but I've been researching adaptive riding equipment. There are specialized saddles designed for riders with disabilities. It would take time, training, and trust, but I believe it's possible. More than possible, it feels inevitable, like this is what we've been working toward all along. As she closed her journal that night, Ella could still feel the warmth of Thunder's presence at the fence. Something had shifted today. A barrier had been crossed. The road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time since the accident, Ella felt truly alive with possibility. The new year brought with it a sharp chill and fresh possibilities at Willow Creek Ranch. Word had spread about the girl in the wheelchair, who had somehow connected with the untamable stallion, drawing curious onlookers and skeptical experts alike. "I don't understand," a visiting trainer remarked one day. That horse was deemed dangerous by 3 different facilities. Ella watched as Thunder calmly grazed near her usual spot. Maybe they were trying too hard to understand him with their heads instead of their hearts. The change in Thunder was undeniable. While still wary of others, he developed a routine with Ella that amazed everyone at the ranch. Each morning, he'd wait by the fence nearest her reading spot, ears perked forward as her wheelchair approached. One crisp January morning, Ella spread detailed drawings across her folding table, her hands trembling with excitement. "I want to try something," she announced to Sarah. "I've been working with a local saddle maker on designs for an adaptive saddle." Sarah studied the sketches, her expression a mixture of concern and admiration. The designs showed a modified Western saddle with additional support features and safety mechanisms specifically tailored for a rider with paraplegia. "Ella," Sarah began carefully, "even if we get the equipment right, there's still the matter of mounting, and—" "I've thought about that too," Ella interrupted, pulling out more drawings. "A modified mounting block with a transfer platform. Look at these safety features. Everything's designed with quick release mechanisms." "I've considered every angle, Sarah." Sarah sat heavily in a nearby chair, running her fingers through her graying hair. "You're really serious about this?" "More serious than I've been about anything since the accident." Ella's voice softened. "You've always told me that the best horsemen listen to their horses. Well, I've been listening to Thunder for months now, and he's been listening to me. We're ready for the next step." Over the next few weeks, Ella worked closely with Mike Thompson, a local saddle maker known for his innovative designs. Together, they refined the plans, incorporating elements from therapeutic riding equipment while adding unique features specific to Ella's needs. Thunder watched these developments with increasing interest. When they brought the first prototype to the paddock, he approached voluntarily, sniffing the leather and allowing Ella to explain each component to him as if he understood every word. "See this part," she would say, pointing to various features. "This will help me stay balanced. And this is your freedom too. Quick releases in case either of us needs space." The training process began with groundwork. Ella directed Thunder from her wheelchair, using voice commands and body language she'd developed during their months together. Sarah watched in amazement as the once volatile stallion moved with precise responsiveness to Ella's quiet instructions. March arrived with warming temperatures and new milestones. The specialized mounting system was installed, and Thunder was gradually introduced to the process. Hours were spent just practicing the approach, letting him grow comfortable with the unusual equipment. The day of the first mounting attempt arrived with tense anticipation. A small group gathered: Sarah, Mike, and Dr. Chen, Ella's physical therapist. Thunder stood quietly at the modified mounting block, his ears focused on Ella's voice as she wheeled into position. "Ready, boy," Ella whispered, beginning the transfer process they practiced dozens of times. Just like we planned. With careful assistance, Ella moved from her wheelchair to the mounting platform. Thunder remained steady, turning his head to watch, but showing no signs of anxiety. The moment Ella settled into the specialized saddle, something magical happened. Thunder let out a soft nicker, reaching back to nose at her boot. Tears streamed down Ella's face as she leaned forward to stroke his neck. "We did it, boy. We really did it." That evening's journal entry captured the emotion of the moment. Day 174 today, we rewrote the rules. Everyone said it was impossible, a girl in a wheelchair riding a wild stallion. But they didn't understand what we understand, that trust transcends physical limitations, that courage comes in many forms, and that sometimes the biggest obstacles aren't the ones you can see. Sitting in that saddle today, I felt whole again. Not because I was proving anything to anyone else, but because Thunder and I had created something beautiful together. We'd built a partnership based on mutual respect and understanding. Tomorrow, we'll start actually moving together.
There will be challenges, probably setbacks too. But that's okay. We've already proven that the impossible is possible when you have the right partner by your side. As she closed her journal that night, Ella could still feel the warmth of Thunder's back beneath her, the steady rhythm of his breathing. They had crossed another threshold together, and the path ahead, while challenging, held endless possibilities. Spring bloomed at Willow Creek Ranch, bringing with it new challenges and triumphs. Ella and Thunder's partnership flourished as they developed their own unique language of subtle cues and mutual trust. Their daily riding sessions became a carefully choreographed dance that left observers speechless. "It's like they can read each other's minds," one of the stable hands remarked after watching Ella guide Thunder through a complex pattern using barely perceptible signals. Word of their accomplishments spread beyond the local community. A regional newspaper reporter arrived one morning, camera in hand, to document their story. The resulting article, titled "Breaking Boundaries: The Girl Who Tamed Thunder," caught the attention of Dr. Amanda Foster, a renowned specialist in therapeutic riding programs. "What you've created here is revolutionary, Doctor," Foster told Ella during her visit to the ranch. She watched as Ella demonstrated their mounting system and specialized equipment. "The way you've adapted traditional methods, it could help so many others." Ella's initial response was modest. "We just figured out what worked for us." "But Doctor," Foster's words planted a seed. During their daily sessions, Ella began to see their partnership through new eyes. Thunder, once considered too dangerous for human contact, now moved with careful precision beneath her, responding to the lightest touch or softest word. "What do you think, boy?" she asked one morning as they cooled down after a ride. "Should we share what we've learned?" Thunder's ear flicked back to catch her words, a gesture that had become their private form of communication. Their bond had deepened to the point where the smallest signals conveyed volumes of meaning. Sarah approached as Ella was transferring back to her wheelchair. "Doctor," Foster called again. "She's serious about wanting to develop a program based on your methods." The development of the therapeutic program progressed rapidly. Dr. Foster helped them design a curriculum that incorporated Ella's innovative approaches to building trust and adapting equipment. Thunder, surprisingly, seemed to understand his new role. The stallion, who once couldn't bear human touch, now stood patiently as Ella demonstrated their methods to other instructors. June brought their first official student, 14-year-old Maya, who had lost her leg to cancer. Ella watched with pride as Thunder gentled his movements even further for the nervous girl. "He knows," Maya whispered during her third session, her face glowing with joy. "It's like he understands exactly what I need." Ella's journal entries during this period reflected her growing awareness of their impact. Day 247. Today I watched Maya smile for the first time since she started coming here. Not just any smile, the kind that lights up your whole world. Thunder did that. We did that. It's strange to think that just months ago, I thought our story was about proving we could overcome our own limitations. Now I realize it's about so much more. The program is growing. We have 3 more students starting next week and a waiting list forming. Sarah's talking about expanding the facilities to accommodate more specialized equipment. But what amazes me most is watching Thunder with each new person. He approaches each student differently, sensing their needs just as he sensed mine all those months ago. Sometimes I catch him watching me when I'm working with new students, and I swear he remembers how we started. Those early days of reading by his paddock, both of us broken in our own ways, both afraid to trust again. Now look at us, helping others find their strength, their courage, their wings. As summer progressed, the program's success exceeded everyone's expectations. Students who had been told they would never ride again found hope and healing through their connection with Thunder. Each success story added to the growing legend of the once dangerous stallion and the girl who had seen past his fears to his true nature. One evening, after a particularly successful session with a new student, Ella remained in the arena with Thunder. The setting sun painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, casting a golden glow over them both. "Do you remember when they said we were both broken beyond repair?" she asked softly, stroking his neck. Thunder lowered his head to her shoulder, his breath warm against her cheek. "Look at us now, proving them wrong every single day." That night's journal entry was brief but powerful. Day 278. Mom always said that everything happens for a reason. For a long time after the accident, I couldn't believe that. What reason could there be for losing everything? But now I understand. Sometimes you have to fall before you could learn to fly in a new way. Sometimes the deepest wounds lead to the greatest healing, not just for yourself, but for others too. Thunder and I aren't just partners anymore. We're pioneers, showing others that limitations are often just invitations to find new ways to soar. 1 year after Ella first sat by Thunder's paddock with her books and hope, Willow Creek Ranch hosted an open house to showcase their therapeutic riding program. The once quiet ranch bustled with visitors, medical professionals, therapeutic riding specialists, and families of potential students, all gathered to witness what many had deemed impossible. Thunder stood proudly beside Ella's wheelchair at the center of the arena, his coat gleaming in the morning sun. Gone was the frightened, aggressive stallion who had arrived at the ranch. In his place stood a confident, gentle partner who seemed to understand the gravity of his role. "Someone once told me that broken things should be discarded," Ella began, her voice carrying across the hushed crowd. "That a girl in a wheelchair couldn't work with horses anymore. That a traumatized stallion was too dangerous to save. But Thunder and I proved them wrong. We proved that sometimes the things that seem to limit us actually lead us to our greatest purpose." As if on cue, Thunder lowered his head to nuzzle Ella's shoulder. Laughter and applause rippled through the crowd. "Our program isn't just about teaching people to ride," she continued, reaching up to stroke his neck. "It's about showing them that disabilities don't define us. That trust, when given the chance to grow, can overcome any obstacle. That healing is possible when we stop trying to fix each other and start understanding each other instead." The demonstration that followed moved many to tears. Using their specialized equipment, Ella mounted Thunder with practiced ease. Together, they performed a sophisticated routine that showcased their seamless partnership. Then, one by one, their current students demonstrated their progress. Maya, now confident in the saddle, led the group, followed by others whose lives had been touched by the program. "Look at his eyes," one specialist remarked to another. "I've never seen a horse so attuned to his riders." As the day drew to a close, Dr. Foster announced that their program would serve as a model for therapeutic riding centers across the country. "What Ella and Thunder have created here goes beyond traditional therapeutic riding," she explained to the assembled crowd. "They've shown us that healing is a two-way street, that sometimes the best teachers are those who have had to find their own way back from darkness." That evening, after the crowds had gone and the ranch had settled into its usual peaceful rhythm, Ella sat beside Thunder's paddock, not in her usual spot outside the fence, but inside, leaning against his steady warmth. Sarah had long since accepted that the original rules no longer applied to their unique relationship. "We did good, boy," Ella murmured, running her hands through his mane. Thunder's response was a soft wicker, his breath warm against her hair. Opening her journal one last time, Ella began to write. Day 365. A year ago today, I wheeled up to this paddock, armed with nothing but books and broken dreams. I found a horse everyone had given up on, and in him, I found myself again. They say that time heals all wounds, but that's not quite right. Time alone doesn't heal. It's what we do with that time that matters. Thunder taught me that strength isn't about never falling. It's about having the courage to try again. He showed me that our greatest weaknesses can become our greatest gifts when we stop fighting them and start embracing them instead. Together, we've created something beautiful here. Every new student who finds their confidence, every smile that replaces fear, every small victory that leads to bigger dreams. These are our real achievements. Not the newspaper articles or the professional recognition, but the quiet moments of transformation we witness every day. Mom and Dad would be proud, I think, not just of what I've accomplished, but of who I've become. Their accident took away my ability to walk, but it led me to this new purpose. Thunder's trauma made him dangerous, but it also made him uniquely qualified to help others heal. We're not broken anymore, Thunder and I. We're just different, and different turns out to be exactly what some people need. Our story isn't about overcoming disabilities or taming wild spirits. It's about finding strength in our challenges and purpose in our pain. As I sit here under the stars, feeling Thunder's steady heartbeat, I realize that this isn't the end of our story. It's just the beginning. There are more lives to touch, more hearts to heal, more souls who need to learn that limitations are often just invitations to find new ways to fly. The stars emerged one by one in the darkening sky as Ella closed her journal. Thunder curved his neck around her protectively, as he had done countless times before. In that moment, under the vast sky, they were just as they had always been meant to be, two souls who had found their way through darkness to light, together. And in the years that followed, their legacy would continue to grow, touching countless lives and proving that sometimes the most beautiful stories begin when we dare to look past our limitations and see the possibilities that lie beyond. 5 years later, the autumn sun painted Willow Creek Ranch in familiar golden hues as Ella wheeled along the expanded pathways, now properly paved and accessible, toward the new therapeutic riding center. The facility had grown considerably, with 3 indoor arenas, specialized equipment, and a staff of trained instructors. But at its heart, the spirit of that first connection between a broken girl and a wounded horse remained. Thunder, now 20 years old but still majestic, stood at the gate of his private paddock. His muzzle had grayed slightly, but his eyes retained their intelligent spark. He nickered softly at Ella's approach, their daily ritual unchanged by time. Ready for a special day, old friend Ella smiled, reaching up to stroke his face. Today marked the official opening of the Thunder's Legacy Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to making therapeutic riding accessible to those who couldn't afford it. As if understanding the significance, Thunder pressed his forehead against hers, their private gesture of connection. Together, they had helped hundreds of riders find their strength, but today was about ensuring their work would continue long into the future. The ceremony began at noon. Gathered in the main arena were faces both familiar and new. Sarah, now the program's director, her hair completely silver. Maya, who had gone on to become one of their most skilled instructors. Dr. Foster, whose support had helped expand their methodology nationwide, and dozens of current and former students. Ella wheeled to the center of the arena, Thunder walking freely beside her without any restraint. Their bond had only deepened with the years, evolving into something that still amazed even the most experienced horsemen. When I first met Thunder, Ella began, her voice strong and clear. People saw 2 broken beings, a paralyzed girl and a dangerous horse. What they didn't see was the possibility of healing through understanding. Today, we're not just celebrating a new foundation, we're celebrating every person who has ever looked past limitations to see potential. From her pocket, she pulled out her original journal, worn and faded now, but still precious. "I'd like to read you my last entry from that first year," she said, opening to the treasured page. As she read about finding strength in challenges and purpose in pain, many eyes filled with tears. "But that wasn't the end of our story," she continued, closing the journal. "Every day since then has been a new chapter. Every person who has found hope here has added to our story. And now, through this foundation, we're ensuring that story continues." Thunder stood perfectly still as several of their success stories were shared. The veteran who found peace after trauma, the child with autism who spoke his first words while riding, the elderly stroke patient who regained mobility. Each story a testament to the healing power of trust and understanding. As the sun began to set, after the ceremonies ended and the crowds dispersed, Ella and Thunder made their way to their favorite spot, the old oak tree where she had first sat reading to him. The original fence was gone now, but they still came here in quiet moments. Opening a new journal, its pages crisp and full of promise, Ella began to write. Dear Thunder, they say that love transforms, but they never tell you exactly how miraculous that transformation can be. You and I, we've witnessed it countless times over these years. We've seen fear turn to courage, isolation to connection, despair to hope. Remember when we thought we were just healing ourselves? How naive we were. Every life we've touched, every barrier we've broken, every smile we've restored, it's all been part of something bigger than us. This foundation isn't really about money or facilities. It's about preserving the simple truth we discovered together, that sometimes the deepest healing comes from being seen, truly seen, by another soul who understands your pain. You're getting older now, my friend. Your steps are a little slower, your rest periods a little longer. But your heart, that magnificent heart that chose to trust again despite everything, is as strong as ever. And through this foundation, that heart will continue to touch lives long after we're both gone. They call it Thunder's legacy, but it's really the legacy of love. Love that saw past fear, past limitations, past all the reasons why we shouldn't succeed. Love that built bridges where others saw walls. Thank you, my friend, for teaching me to fly again, for showing me that some bonds transcend all physical limitations. Because of you, countless others will learn to spread their wings too. With eternal gratitude, Ella. As she closed the journal, Thunder gently lowered himself to the ground beside her wheelchair, a gesture of companionship he had perfected over the years. Together, they watched the sun set on another day at Willow Creek Ranch, their hearts beating in quiet synchronization, their legacy of love secured in the lives they would continue to touch, today and for generations to come.